Okay, copy. I'm approaching Central on Cheetah Cut Line. I haven't found any tracks with Nkuhumas yet. There's a lion. There's a lion right there.
Is that a lion?
Cheetah Cut Line. At the junction of Central there.
I thought it was a stump.
Isn't that cool, everybody? Yeah, we just located now tax on Cheetah Cut Line, I think probably at Junction Central. There's Impala spotted the lion at exactly the same time. I've just got one lioness on the road here, yeah. Isn't that cool? There she goes. Let's go and follow her. Just get up there quickly, and those impala spotted her at exactly the same time. Let's just see where the rest of them are. Where'd she go, Bryan? No, don't disappear on us. You got it. Let's start down the road. Right, got it then. Where's the rest of the pride? I'll go down here. She's on her own. Let me just move in here quickly, everyone. Oh, no, there's the rest of the pride. They're in front of her there. Yeah, I think we can follow them through here. I don't think they'll be hunting. Oh, I can smell dung, so they've obviously been here for a while. Just want to quickly confirm where I am. Yeah, where I thought I was. Sorry, I'm just going to have to help the other guys get in here. Orbs and taxi animals are mobile from Central through the block in a southeasterly direction, southwesterly direction towards Drakensberger. That's... Apparently this is where the kill was last night. You see them anywhere, Bryan? I think they're probably going to pop out onto that clearing. And we're going straight through here. You know, come now, lions. Don't disappear from me now. You got them? Well done, Bryan. Wasn't that wonderful to see her just lying on the road like that? There they go, through the front. Let's quickly get a view. Station on Central, we are directly to the south of your position, now mobile due west towards Drakensberger. Bryan, sorry about this. It's going to be you'll have to watch your heed. All 6 feet 4 of your head. There we go. Okay. No thorns, everybody. Watch your heads. Right. Let's keep going here, everybody. If it does get too thick, we will head across to the Bushwalk and see what's going on with them. But for the moment, I think we're okay. So let's just keep watching where these lions go. There is one in front of us. There we go. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Orbs is quite thick in here. Oh, listen, listen, listen. There are buffalo there calling. These lions might be, apparently they're chasing a hyena just the other side of where the lions are. Very aware of the lions. Might be setting up an ambush. But for the 5 of them or 4 of them now to take on a buffalo, it's a bit too much of a call. Don't want to move just yet. Give them time to hear and smell and think. Oh, and go to sleep. Now, Orbs, one of them's gone to ground here. I can't see the others. Right, let's go around there, see if we can find the others. Now, can you imagine, were you to try and actually find these things and they weren't on the road? I had at least 2. How many did you see, Bryan? 2. Now, yesterday, the Kudu apparently was killed by 3 lionesses. Now, we're in the Nkuhumas Pride territory, so it's most likely them. One of them apparently has been mating with a Birmingham boy around Torchwood, and one of them we know has kind of excluded herself and gone off towards Bushwalk Dam, and we think maybe giving birth there, well, she would have given birth by now if that's what she was doing. Watch out there, Bryan. No thorns? So let's just see who this is. Now, this is a very fat lioness, but to me, she does not look like she's lactating. She does not have swollen nipples at all. And let's just identify who this is. I think this is the one we call Spotty Nose, if I'm not mistaken. She's the 2nd youngest in the Nkuhumas Pride, but I'm more than willing to take advice on that. My ability to recognize faces, both human and animal, is not great. She does have quite swollen nipples, so that belly might not just be Kudu. Orbs, we just, I don't know if you've got the one animal there. We've got one where I am. Okay, copy. So Aubrey's got another one moving due west towards where they did kill that Kudu yesterday. So interesting that they should have come back or left the area and be going back. I wonder that hyena that was seen earlier that was carrying an antelope leg, I suspect quite strongly, stole, maybe even chased off these 3 lionesses. She wouldn't have chased them on his own or her own, but because there are only 3 of them at the moment, it could well be that a little group of hyenas managed to steal some of their kill. Anyway, we're going to just quickly go across to Jamie. She's got something interesting to show you. I'll follow this lioness through the bush, and we'll see you the other side of the thicket.
We're just gathering some breakfast this morning, since you've been with James and the lions looking for their own breakfast of their own, potentially, or having just had breakfast of their own. Currently snacking on some guari berries that taste a little bit like overripe grapes, is kind of what it tastes like. You can see now, this is what they should look like when they are fully ripe. Oh, I was going to squeeze some to show you the juice, but I've just sprayed it everywhere. Quite delicious, quite sweet, and a really useful snack when you're out in the bush. Very refreshing. Not really much in the way of nutrients for us. You'd have to eat a lot of them to feel full. Now, you've just been with the Nkuhumas as far as I can tell, and some of you might actually recognize this particular spot. Remember many, many months ago when the two Nkuhuma lionesses were, we think, scavenging off a buffalo kill. Sorry, let me swallow the last of my guarri berries. And the Birmingham boys that came pelting out of the bushes in one of the most intense sightings that we had with them back when poor Scrapper, or Tokolosh, was still alive. I was very sad to hear of his death. He certainly had a great deal of attitude. But there we go. And this is one of the reasons why we said that this particular buffalo was probably scavenged rather than killed by the two lionesses. It would have been very, very unusual for them to have taken down a buffalo bull of this size. Just look at how big this buffalo really was. Absolutely enormous head. Now that was, when was that? I'm trying to remember exactly what month it was in. It must have been sometime last year.
Yeah, September, October.
Yes, it was September, October. That carcass was revolting, I think was the word. It was probably one of the smelliest carcasses we've experienced ever. And this, the bones are completely picked clean. Here's a little bit of rib. And I just wanted to come across here and see what this area was looking like, because we've got an exact timeline as to when this hunt and kill occurred. Oh, if I could remember the month, of course. A lovely rib bone. And all bits of backbone scattered throughout. Now this is obviously a preferred site of theirs, because when we arrived here, when we came across this kill, there was also a waterbuck, an old waterbuck carcass. That has now all but disappeared. We've got some horns, or what's left of the horn. And then have a look at just how intensely those horn moth larvae have been eating through the keratin sheath and tunneling through. There's hardly anything left of it. So an interesting sight. The buffalo was killed, or the carcass was actually over here. The bones have since been scattered by hyenas. Just come and have a look at what a large carcass like that does to an area. And just by the way...
Oh, what a great picture for you to join us on, everybody. The lions are just the other side of this vehicle. Good morning. Ashen. Here we've got two now, everyone. There are two lionesses here. Say when, Bryan, I don't know what's going to be. I think let me go here. Can you see her there? This lioness is just found the stomach contents of the kudu they killed yesterday, and well, apart from it being extremely smelly, and the thought of licking it like that lioness has made me quite nauseous, she won't actually eat the stomach contents. You'll see she'll try and get that semi-digested vegetation out of the stomach lining and sac, and she'll eat it. And the other impala, you can hear them maybe going psh, psh, psh. They are alarm calling. And I think probably the third lioness. Now mostly these lions will leave the stomach contents, but because maybe they're under some nutritional strain, given the fact that many of them seem to be carrying babies in their bellies, they may well just eat it regardless. And Pam, you make a very good point. You say, if that was just a full belly, she'd be panting. So you think that she's pregnant. Pam, I think it's probably a bit of both. But yes, you make a very good point. Bryan, I'm now going to take a world-class photograph.
Oh, wonderful.
So although the machine gun fire of lenses from very expensive cameras is exploding around us, I will take one with my picular. Delicious. So that is really a fairly disgusting breakfast, everyone. That's not a breakfast you want to be eating. And if anybody can identify which Nkuhuma pride lioness this is, that would be great. So I'm just trying to figure out, I think... Bryan, any ideas who this is?
I don't, unfortunately.
She's not having a very, well, I suppose it's like a haggis for breakfast, really, isn't it?
A haggis that's rolled in grass.
A grass-rolled haggis. Delicious. Grass-rolled haggis. You can hear the impala going absolutely ballistic just to the other side there. So this is not the same lioness we saw first off. She's got a much darker nose, a spotty head. So I don't know which one this is. And just to the left of her is the one we saw earlier. There. Very lucky morning indeed. So I think my guess as to what happened last night is that these lionesses killed this kudu. I suspect a large group of hyenas came through here. There are only 4 of them at the moment, and possibly only 3, given that one is off mating and the other giving birth. And so it was possible for the hyenas to steal a lot of meat from them and get away with their pilfering ways. I suspect the lions were around here just about all the time, the whole time. They've come back into this area now just to see if they can't get something to eat. And all that's left is the fairly disgusting prospect of a grass-rolled haggis. Delicious, Bryan. Beautiful light just seeping through the woodland here. And you can hear the machine gun fire of the camera crews, and they're not crews, they're guys on a photographic safari, sort of a privately guided photographic safari, so they're learning wildlife photography. Seeing some amazing stuff. Not sure, Bryan, that the close-up photograph of a lion with its head buried in the guts of a kudu is ever going to make the National Geographic front cover, but certainly one for the bedroom wall, perhaps the bathroom wall, the guest bathroom, under the stairs. Yes. I wonder if final control is still there. Oh, there we go, they are. So, Mobile Paddy, you say you're going to pretend the lion's eating cheesecake. Well, Mobile Paddy, I think if you're able to do that, that's great. Of course, for me, considering that lion eating cheesecake is distressing, because we know that Kirsten McLennan Smith made 2 cheesecakes yesterday in camp, and I don't want to be thinking of what I'm seeing now when I devour them for my lunch. Very industrious of her. It tastes much better than this Kudu stomach. Ted, you're in Minneapolis and you ask a very good question about why this lioness is seemingly so scar-free. And you say, don't they scrap with any other lions in the area? Ted, the main people that they scrap with are each other. Male lions, a different story. They certainly will scrap with other male lions, but females tend to be able to avoid that situation. They try and avoid physical confrontation, and they avoid going into each other's territories quite successfully. It's quite an interesting thing, but you make a good point, because males are often scarred and beaten up from the fights that they have, but females manage to avoid most of that. And so although some of them are scarred on the nose, that's normally from fighting with themselves over food. It's very seldom from fighting with other lionesses. Kevin, a very nice question from you. How sure are we that this is an Nkuhuma, not a Styx? Well, I'm pretty sure, simply because they're way outside of the Styx territory, and also because I know the Styx are moving with their cubs at the moment, and I don't think there are any cubs here. It's not impossible I'm wrong, but I think you'll find that the lion experts on the net will tell you that these are the Nkuhumas. Ngwanyani ya ranzana na ngwanyani, ngumbeshana ngwanyani ya humisa mampimpana lega bufulsukten. Yeah. Yeah. So Tax is just kind of agreeing with me there, yeah. But these are the 3 Nkuhumas, and the 2 are off where I said they were. And please, everybody, just remember that the email is down, so please do Twitter in your IDs of these lionesses if you'd like to. Twitter them in, tweet them in, like the black grey-headed sparrow that was calling this morning. Hashtag SafariLIVE. Don't send in on the email, I'm afraid. It's a waste of time at the moment. YouTube apparently is also down. What a disaster. Beautiful. I'm taking some epic video here, Bryan, with my picular. You see that? Picular video. I think I might get a bigger close-up than you. How close can you get?
Not bad.
Not bad, eh? How's my framing?
Yeah, not great.
Why? Is that better?
Yeah, there we go.
This is fantastic. Anyway, we won't be here forever. Just remember that we do have to perhaps move aside every so often for others who might want to come into the sighting. And I know Andrew from Cheetah Plains is on his way here, so we might leave fairly soon. But we'll see what else we can find. we don't need to leave just yet. We can spend a bit more time here and enjoy the Nkuhumas lions. So please do Twitter through. I know many of you do use email, but please do Twitter through your IDs if you disagree with me. It's a lovely shot there of a lioness covered in these stomach contents. A very nice sort of olive green there, don't you think, Bryan?
It's a very fetching colour.
It is a fetching colour. It suits her. A fetching colour. What do you think? A new kind of green, Bryan?
Putrid green.
Putrid green, gut green, perhaps.
Gut
nice
green.
alliteration, gut green. And the smell, of course, around here smells like you imagine it would. It does not smell like a comforting roast beef cooking on a Sunday afternoon. It smells like innards. Tripe. In a little while, we'll move away from here and see if we can find the other two. Sandy, you're not understanding, you say, why it is that smaller hyenas are able to steal from lionesses. It's purely weight of numbers, Sandy. I think you'll find that if this kudu was stolen from them, it would have been a large number of hyenas, probably 5 or 6 of them, if not more, that would have intimidated these lionesses into leaving. Because there's no male around, the hyenas would easily have overcome them if there'd been 6 or so. And these females, of course, will be slightly less confident than they would normally, because they don't have the comfort of their, the familiarity of their 5, of all 5 of them. Bryan, can you zoom in there on the stomach?
Mm-hmm.
I thought what I was looking at there was, that is, if you look at there, you can see that kind of very regular patterning on the top end of that fairly disgusting pile of stomach contents. That's the inner lining of the stomach. And those things, if I'm not mistaken, are called, I've forgotten the name, but they're basically waves inside the stomach that increase the surface area and allow the digestive process to happen a lot faster. That is truly foul. That really is beyond the pale. All around us, the comforting sounds of the dawn continue. Doves and francolins and sparrows and drongos, and way in the distance, probably around the hyena den, I heard whoop, hyena. And of course, everybody, we must be very grateful for this, because we're getting lions doing something. Did you hear all the cameras firing off there? One day, let's introduce them to the concept of the mirrorless camera. Let's just watch her for now and see what she does before we move. Ooh, Bryan, it's quite ripe, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Imagine your compost heap at home, everybody, if you have one, and you've been away on an extended vacation for 2 or 3 weeks, come back and you've put your nose into the compost heap. That is the general smell of the atmosphere in this area right now. Oh, here's the rest of the carcass, Bryan. There's a piece of carcass. Maybe those hyenas didn't steal the whole thing then, obviously. So the other lioness has now come up to try and see if she can get something delicious to eat out of the grass-rolled gut green haggis of the morning. Clearly not. Also very hang-bellied, and is now going to relieve herself on her breakfast. That's wonderful. This is the nobility of lions, you see. Oh, very nice, Bryan. I don't know if you picked that up. A new scent in the air, but the smell of rotting meat intermingled with that of compost. She is very lovely, though, isn't she? Sorry, that's my head getting in the way. I can't really move. I can go backwards, but I can't go forwards. Yeah, no go. That is the best picture of a lioness you'll ever get, everyone. And Joe, you're asking a question about whether a lioness would go into thick bush to hide to give birth. That's exactly what they do. It's exactly what that lioness has done. She's gone into the thick bush around Bushwalk Dam, and we think that she's giving birth there. Just like an impala, as you say. The impala will go into thick bush, so will the zebra. Look at the light as it catches her. I know many of you are trying to get hold of us on the email, but just be aware, we have no email communication at the moment, I'm afraid. Nor YouTube. So you can Twitter through your questions. Otherwise, we will try and rectify the situation with the email. I'm not sure what the situation is at the moment or why it doesn't work. Excuse me. Yes, thank you, Rebecca. I know my head and my arms were in the way. I was taking a photograph. Rebecca's shouting at me, everybody. She's getting very kind of above herself this morning. Lovely that the light catches her eyes. It won't be long before she decides that it's just all too much. But the lovely African sun on her forehead is too wonderful, and she'll have to go to sleep. SafariLIVE, I could not agree with you more. You say it's nice to see the lions awake. Yes, it is something of a relief to see them awake. I can't tell you, there's many times I've actually avoided a lion sighting because they're so asleep, so flat, so doing nothing that it becomes, well, it just becomes boring. But these chaps are awake, enjoying the African sun like we are. It's starting to warm up now. The cold of the morning has kind of left us. World-class picula coming up here, Bryan.
Oh, yes.
You can hear everybody moving. What we will do, I think, very shortly, is go and see if we can't find the other lioness. Once this one looks up, come on, my girl. See, she's listening behind her there. I'm pretty sure that she's listening to either alarm calling impala or perhaps the other lioness. Something's got up her nose there. Laura, you say, is that a broken tooth hanging adorably from her mouth? I don't think it's a broken tooth, Laura. I think it's just a piece of foam. Hey, Bryan, it doesn't look like a piece of tooth to me. So I think her teeth are perfectly intact. Right, I'll just wait for Tax to stop and then we'll move around a bit. Let's see. Okay. Oh, very exciting. Let's just, while I move, let's head across to Sam, who seems to have some signal. He's had some leopard tracks, and we'll find out where they go.
Sam.
We are here, finally, after 3 tries of getting out in the vehicle with Rusty. We had some signal problems, but we are straight onto some leopard tracks over here. As you can see, we are on Bushwalk cut line, and we've been following these tracks of a male leopard for just a couple seconds, actually. So we just found it, and we're hoping to see if we can find a leopard for you this morning, to finally be out with you. I'm excited. We've been back to camp 3 times trying to fix some signal problems. So we woke up this morning with no electricity, so I was trying to find everything in my room. It was tough. And now we've had some problems with the vehicle. But you know what? It helped us find tracks of a male leopard. So potentially we might find the last leopard I saw in this area, which was, just trying to remember the name of that leopard. Kujima was the leopard that we saw here a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So it's good to be back. Let's see what we can find. We're going to try and follow these tracks. So they're going right to the middle of the road here. So I heard you got just been seeing some lions with James. We were on our way there this morning. We actually watched 2 hyenas playing there, down by Jumadan. Not playing, but like they were playing with something. And we got really, really excited. We started following the hyenas, and then we had some problems, so we had to go back to camp. But now we're driving up the road to see if we can find. Mandy Elson is asking, do hyenas have a breeding season? Well, the hyenas will breed at pretty much any time of the year. Any time of the year, and then they go and find a den site. So whenever a female is pregnant, mainly the matriarch, only the matriarch gets pregnant in the clan, they'll then go and find a place to go and have the cubs. Just going to see if I can find these tracks again. They've either headed, so we're going to look on both directions. Dave, see if you can see left there with the camera. This is his territory. He likes to walk this road, so hopefully we can pick up tracks of him again. Kujima, beautiful male leopard that is in this area. So we also went to the hyena den just while we were talking about hyenas there, Mandy. We went to go look to see if there was something there, because we went to Jumadan where the hyena was playing, and then we went to the den site to see if the cubs were eating an impala or something, but nothing. They were not active in the slightest. Just trying to see if we've still got tracks here. Looks like we've lost tracks. We're just going to carry on down the road, because we might be able to see if they've come back onto the road. Otherwise, we're just going to look on either side of us carefully. see if he is hiding in the brush, stalking an impala or a nyala. I must say, here we go, tracks are back on. We've got them on the left of us here. So we've got tracks still of Kajima going down, or potentially Kajima. They're going all the way down. Can you see them there, Dave?
Yep.
Cool, so if you can, see if you can follow those. There we go, they're coming back on this side now. Where are you going? They've turned around. This is interesting. No, those are hyena tracks. So there's a hyena tracks going up this road here, and now we've got leopard tracks to the left. So maybe there was a little bit of confrontation at some points, some conflict. The hyenas could have very well have been close to where the lionesses are now, because I know the lionesses are eating on young kudu. Can you see the tracks over there? Okay, track. We still got tracks. We're still on them. Just want to report it on the radio. There they come. Actually, no, those are the hyena tracks. Tracks of a male leopard heading east on Buffelshoek Cutline, junction of Gowrie Cutline. Are they still there? Maybe he's hiding in here. Look around the trees. So we've got to listen to the sound of either the monkey alarm call, bird alarm call, or potentially a tail hanging in a tree. These are all little indicators that we can have when tracking a leopard. Could be anywhere. Could. So while we sit and follow these tracks, let's go see how James is doing with an elephant.
There's a bit of a sort of old age home going on here. We've got a beautiful big bull there with huge ivory, and he's being accompanied by what looks like a deeply aged female. You can see that normally straight back is kind of bowed in the middle, and I think that's a function of her age. And behind her, or behind the next bush, is a male, also a bull. He doesn't look quite so old, but this is an unusual arrangement of elephants, where we have a big bull, or two big bulls, and an old cow. I wonder if it isn't sort of, a group of oldies who've come together to commiserate on the fact that they're in the twilight of their years. He's quite stressed, and I can tell that because he's got that very distinctive streaming of liquid between his eyes and his ears. And that indicates some form of stress. He does appear actually to be in must. He's dripping. The inside of his back legs is wet. And that's because he's been dripping that very sort of sweet leather-smelling urine over the course of the last few days, so he's probably in must. And an old boy like this will go into must for an extended period. You hear that? That's a herd of elephants off to the far west of where we are now, and that will be a youngster very cross with something in the morning, Mummy not allowing him to do what he wants to do. Yes, they're very cross indeed. They may have come across that third lioness, of course. So the lions are due, basically, if you looking at your screen, if you imagine them, they're over the back of your head, just behind us. So we're not far from them. We did leave them because Andrew from Cheetah Plains wanted to come and see them, and we can't have more than 3 vehicles in the sighting. There's the old cow, and she's eating, I don't mean that in a derogatory sense at all, she's eating not grass, she's found some kind of herb that she likes. And you would imagine, given the amount that an elephant needs to eat, in the case of that big bull, probably up to 300 kilograms or 660 pounds of food in one day, you'd imagine that they'd be fairly unselective. But they're not, you know. They know what they like and they know what they don't like, and she's being very specific about what she's eating. She's picking specific herbs out of the ground. You can see she's rejecting some and picking up others. Oh, you know what else you can see, Bryan, about her age? If you look at her mouth, she's got quite a lot of hair there. She's got a bit like a bearded lady, and I think that's also a function of her age. See that, everybody? She's got like whiskers underneath her chin. And Ted, I read a nice question from you in Minneapolis. You say, do siblings that have been split up as they've grown up and gone through their lives in this area as elephants, do they ever sort of meet up and retire with each other? I don't know. I mean, an elephant doesn't really retire. The females they do go through a sort of semi-period of menopause where they don't give birth for a while before they die. The males don't. The males are able to breed until the day they pop their clogs, as it were. So they don't necessarily ever retire, but I imagine that there is a connection between siblings that is maintained throughout their lives. And although they wander very great distances, they're also able to communicate over very great distances. And I suspect you'll find that with an animal as socially complex as an elephant, and an animal that has the intelligence of an elephant, I imagine that they would certainly keep contact with their siblings throughout the course of their lives. I'm not sure that that's ever been researched, but I would say it's almost certainly possible. Just watch, you see how she lifts her head like that and then puts it down again slightly, a very subtle movement. Hello. This is unusual behavior for a cow. They normally don't worry too much about us. I'm just going to get hold of Tax. He's interested in talking to us. Go ahead. Tax, I want you to cut line with those 3 elephants. They're now mobile east into the block. Now, I say it's quite unusual behavior because a cow normally wouldn't approach us unless she's irritated. She wasn't irritated. She gave no indication of irritation. And they just tend to be much less curious than the bulls, much less easily distracted by us than the bulls are. And again, I like to sort of anthropomorphize the behavior of elephants because it's so easy to find parallels with human behavior. And so often a bull elephant, right up to a big adult like the one coming towards us now, will react in a fashion that indicates he's just being distracted. He's quite interested in what's going on. And whereas a cow will kind of get on with the day, feed the kids, look after the kids, make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. The bulls will quite frequently be distracted by a vehicle, come and check you out, spend a bit of time looking at you, smelling you. We're going to be a little cautious of this fellow. He's obviously very large. And he is in must. You can smell, Bryan, can you smell that sweet leather smell of must? But he's not reacting to us in any way. He certainly seems to be completely comfortable with our presence at this stage. There, that dripping is starting to begin there. That's what smells like very sweet, musky leather. I say we'll be careful of him because an elephant bull in must can be a little bit more irritated than others. He is a massive, massive, massive animal, at least 6 tons. And he's now doing precisely what the female didn't do. He's now being distracted by us. Let's just watch him carefully. He's thinking about whether or not he should approach us. He's unquestionably watching us, listening. But he's not giving any indication of irritation. He's just curious. He's bored. He's massive. He stands at least 10 or 11 feet at the shoulder. I wouldn't come up to his elbow. I'd basically come up to his elbows, yeah, just underneath his belly there. I would be almost able to walk clean underneath there without ducking. Might even be able to hear the dripping of the urine on the ground. We're just going to sit here very quietly until he moves off. Bryan, can you still hear me when I talk like this? Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Just listen to him tearing plants. This is the king, everyone. I say this often. Those gangsters we just saw eating their grass-rolled, gut-green haggis don't have anything like the royalty of a great big bull like this. Even if he is getting a little saggy around the bottom. I hope he didn't hear me say that. Look how his tail's got no more hair on it. It was probably once a luxuriant spray of that coarse elephant hair. Slowly over the years, a bit like with me, Bryan, the hair has disappeared. I'd say he's probably at least maybe 55 to 60 years old. Katie on Twitter, while we're watching him there, you want to know how well an elephant like this sees. I think he sees really well, in so much that we see really well. I think their sight is very much like ours. I don't think they see nearly as well as something like a lion or a leopard or an impala or even a buffalo maybe. But I think their sight is good enough for them to see in much the same way that we can. And so it's much better than a rhino, for example. But I've definitely been on foot in an elephant, and the wind's been absolutely perfect. We haven't made any noise. The elephant will spot you at a long way away. So I think their eyes are pretty good. By the same token, I've been around rhino with the same situation. Good wind, good, and totally silent. Right in standing in front of a rhinoceros. They don't have any idea that you're there. I feel like I'm going to sneeze, but I'm going to try and avoid it. He's how far close? He's probably about 12 meters from us, which is about 40 feet or so. Right, while we sit here with this elephant at 12 meters, we're going to head across to Sam quickly. He's got an interesting bird to show you.
So we've just been following a male leopard and its tracks up down Bushwalk Pan, and we decided, or up Bushwalk Cutline, and we decided to come and have a look at the dam and see what we can find. And we found this beautiful looking tawny eagle that you can see here. You can see that yellowish beak just there. You get the dark black in the front there, and the yellowish as it starts to go towards the face. Significant brown eye. It's quite a large eagle. Sometimes it can be mistaken for a brown snake eagle, but once you get up close to it, you can quite clearly see the features of the tawny eagle. And this is the main eagle we're going to see over the dry winter period. We saw a couple yesterday when we were looking and tracking those drag marks all the way down towards the pan there, and we came down to Philemon's Cutline, and there were tawny eagles and bateliers that were circulating the skies, as well as vultures. It was incredible to watch everything going on there. But there's also been reports, and I've just heard on the radio, just to change the subject, that the lions were not far away from here, and potentially the lions that you were seeing earlier are now moving towards Bushwalk Dam, which could be really exciting. But on another note, I've just noticed another eagle. So there's another eagle that's on the other side of the dam. If you look can you see it over there, Dave? It's on that dry. Well, there we go. So it looks like another tawny eagle. So we've got potentially a pair of tawny eagles down by Bushwalk. Exceptionally beautiful. We've just started our morning, and we've come across two tawny. So that's a new bird of prey to our bird list. So if you want to write that down, I think that's number 34, 35 in terms of birds that we've seen over the last couple of days. We saw the most incredible sighting of a leopard-faced vulture yesterday, which I feel very, very humbled by to see that. It's the first time I've seen it. It's got like a 2.4 meter wingspan as it flew off. So I'm just going to get into a position where we can have a look at the dam, see what else is going on here. While I do that, I'm also going to get an update from Aubrey to find out what these lions are doing. Apparently they're mobile. So while I do that, have a look at that beautiful tawny eagle just across the watering hole. Aubrey, do you copy, Aubrey? Aubrey, do you know what the position of the Ngala are?
Yeah, the two Mafazi from Nkuhumas. If you're coming along the Central Road, Drangesberg Drive, head straight south, you're going to see the two tracks crossing to the west, south of Central Road. And I think just on about there.
Copy, Aubrey. I just heard reports that maybe the Ngala are heading towards Bushwalk Dam, just here at the moment.
Just another for another chief of Azi that's still at the Carcass Day, at the eastern side of the Drakensberg Drive.
Okay, so just let me hold on. Copy, thanks, Orbs. So we've just been listening to what's going on. We'll be back with us shortly. Let's just go see how James is doing with an elephant.
Sorry everybody, I'm in a bit of a state. Bryan just made a very amusing joke. which I will share with you as this elephant moves off. Let's just move quickly further forward. We've had a wonderful time with this old bull. Oh, smell that. He's just melted. I'm not going to follow him through there, everybody. We're going to leave him going through there. And Ravi, you say, how much liquid does an elephant lose during musk, and do they have to compensate? They absolutely have to compensate, Ravi. They lose apparently up to 100 liters of water in a day, which is a massive amount of water. And so what you'll find is that they do definitely have to drink a bit more than they would usually. Still quite a nice shot of him, isn't it? Mm. I mean, 150 litres is divided by 530 gallons in a day. I think they're 5 litres in a gallon, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 4. All the imperial metric calculations I have to do in my head is staving off the senility of my old age, Bryan. Mm. I haven't forgotten about finding a Ziziphus tree for Richard Levi. I will do that story for you just as soon as I can. Probably not a good idea to do it right now around a musk bull elephant with a penchant for being slightly irritated with life, although this chap is very comfortable. Still watching us, still listening to us, everyone. All right, we're going to head across back to Sam. He's got another bird to show you. I'm probably going to make my way home quickly to change a tyre. We'll see you just now.
We are here with a crested barbet. It's a beautiful bird. Listen to this call. Just before it starts going again, it's got a very monotonous tone. Look at its stomach. And look at those colors and that crest on top of its head. Beautiful bird. And it's a barbet, so it likes to be on trees, you'll often find. Such a cool sighting of the crested barbet. Let's just listen to another few songs of the barbet. So this bird is omnivorous, which means it'll eat all sorts of both carnivore and herbivore, so berries and also insects. And it nests in a hole in a dead tree. So we can see a hole there on the tree. Could very well be where it lives, the crested barbet. It's very territorial. The crested barbets, they have a fierce territory. So it could be really interesting to see if we saw another crested barbet and how they would interact. That call, that squat that we've been listening to for quite some time now is, it lasts up to 13 seconds, which is very, very cool. And a whole bunch of, when crested barbets are together, they'll sometimes do it in unison. You get this very monotonous call in the bush, very, very significant. You can hear them from quite a long way off, the crested barbet. And it's got the same type of foot structure. If you just go to that, look at the feet of that crested barbet, it's zygote tail. So it's got 4 little toes that come off it there. Very similar to the woodpecker. Helps it climb up trees. Look at those wings. Look at the red on the olives. It's interesting to see them go into that hole.
Also believing in Miss Masazi. The same lock, lock.
Maybe it'll go back into that hole again. Potentially there's eggs or something inside there. Maybe it's a distress call of some sort. So hopefully this crested barbet will still stay here. Let's look for a moment at the tawny eagle that is just still here. We've got a few trackers that are inside this drainage line as well, looking to see if they can find any tracks of the mafazis, which is the female lionesses. Look how beautiful the tawny eagle is. So the one that we were seeing earlier on the other side is gone. Oh, is it going to fly? I'm going to get into a position where you can see it a little bit better. Because there's a few little... Looks like it's about... Oh, alright, there it goes. So that was the tawny eagle. Incredible spot of 2 different birds that we could just put to our bird list now. It looks like the crested barbet that was sitting on that branch has now gone. So Margaret's asking, Sam, can you tell the difference between the male and the female crested barbet? Margaret, I cannot tell the difference between the male and the female, but what I can do is get the book out, which has our crested barbet, I've now got a picture of the crested barbets, which we can have a look at. Which is top right, yeah, there he is. And hold on, here's a pair. So if you come down to a picture of the crested barbet as a pair here, let's have a look, Margaret. Let's have a look again of the significant differences here. I mean, the only one that I can say, they look very, very similar. I'm just going to look, while you look at those 2, I'm just going to read up on them here and see if there's anything that they say. Now, there's nothing here that says the difference between the female and the male. But all it says here is the juvenile is slightly duller than the adult without the spots on the woodland. Okay, so that's the crested barbet. That's what we've just seen. And it almost, I remember learning about the crested barbet a few years ago and how it actually has that call. It's almost like the way in which a bagpipe works. How they managed to... Here we go, it's back on his branch. So we've got the crested barbet, it's still here. We can have a good look at her. So I can't really tell the difference between the male and the female. There it is. He's exceptionally beautiful. Look at all the different colors. There's both the female and the male have that coloration. We just heard the sound of a go-away bird in the distance. So we're waiting here at Bushwalk Dam with this beautiful looking crested barbet because potentially there might be a female lion that's in the area, and we've got some trackers that are out there. They're having a look to see if they can locate the female. I know that you were with a couple of them that were eating on a Kudu bull, but they've just, we left the female that looked quite pregnant a couple days ago down by the drainage line, very close to here. So I think it's worthwhile just waiting and just seeing if there's something that pops up while we look at this incredible crested barbet. You can hear the sound of the blacksmith plover there. There they come. You hear that sounds like a blacksmith that's hitting metal. Actually, let's have a look at that. It's just flying off into the distance there. Those are two blacksmith plovers. Very, very interesting.
There is I forgot what it is. It's a grey go-away bird. It's a grey go-away bird, everybody, and it's going away. We're on our way back home to change a tyre, but we can chat to you on our way back. Signal problems seem to be befalling us in great abundance today, unfortunately, but we'll get through it all. So what I didn't do with you is share the joke that Bryan and I were having with each other, and of course that was very rude of me, because when you came back to us, we were giggling like two small school children. And the joke was, of course, I don't know how many of you have seen The Black Adder, which is a wonderful, wonderful British comedy series, but we were just assigning characters from The Black Adder to the various members of our crew, and finding ourselves profoundly amusing as we did it. Let's carry on. I don't think we'll tell the rest of the crew exactly the characters that we found for them. Bryan and I gave ourselves very good characters, of course. Of course. Sorry, I'm being hailed on the radio. Go ahead, text. I'll just let you hear.
Yeah, I was walking here at the northern side of the dam. We look at this center here, just trying to locate them in water.
Okay, copy that. Good luck then. They found that lioness who's given birth, or who we think was giving birth, at the northern side of Bushwalk Dam. And they're going to try and find her again in the vehicle. So that's really interesting. So Sam's in that area, and maybe he'll be able to go there. That'll be amazing. We will be very cautious, of course, if she has given birth. That will be fascinating to see. Yay, lion cubs. Well, people always talk about how wonderful leopard cubs are, and they're inescapably wonderful. But for me, a lion cub, because they're always talking. Leopard cubs are cautious, they're quite nervous. Lion cubs are born with that confidence of the gangsters' children, and they are constantly make these amazingly cute sounds. Wow, 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 and fighting with each other. They very seldom, or very quickly habituate to vehicles. So with any luck, we'll have a view of those little cubs very soon. Steve R. Quite interestingly, Steph and I were talking about exactly what you just asked now. Do we have any invasive animals around? Well, when you talk about animals, I think a lot of people mean mammals when they talk about animals, but we don't have any invasive mammals around here, other than the human being, of course. But other than him, we have one invasive animal that we know of, and that is a snail, something called a banded snail, which we think has come into the area probably via one of the tourism lodges here that has purchased plants out of a nursery that wasn't perhaps careful enough about getting rid of invasive things like these snails. And there is a banded snail, a small snail, about that big, that is in these parts. We don't know what effect it is going to have on the local ecology, whether it will create a crashing of the ecosystem. I expect that's unlikely. But if it does get too numerous too quickly, then we might have a problem. So banded snail is the only one I know of. Quite a few invasive plants, or alien plants, but no invasive animals. There is also there's a huge gecko we have a problem with in the country, not so much here, a house gecko. It's an enormous translucent gecko like that, which, while it's not unattractive at all, it does eat all of our local geckos, which in turn take care of all of the flies. And so he's a bit of a problem, but I've not seen one in this particular area yet. Just head back up onto quarantine now, and then we'll go and get our tyre. This one is not too bad. It's a little bit dodgy though. One doesn't want to be chasing through the bush without a new tyre. The reason we don't have a spare on the car, of course, is because this is Wendy. Yesterday we were on Jigger, and we took the spare off Wendy and put it onto Jigger, and then this morning I completely forgot to do that, which is inexcusable, mainly because I go through a whole checklist in the morning, and I think as far as it's been a good wake-up call for me. The checklist becomes sort of rote. You just speak it off without actually doing the actual checks. So I will no doubt be in a lot of trouble when I get back to breakfast. I might not be given any breakfast at all. I might just be given maybe a bit of water and perhaps a stale half bread crust. Probably what I deserve, don't you think, Bryan?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not even a bread crust.
Just some water.
Just some
salty,
warm salty water.
Warm salty water. Brackish.
Yeah. From the taps. Yeah.
Smelling not unlike the bowels of that hapless Kudu. Betty, what a lovely question from Dallas in Texas. Your question's more interesting for the information that you've given at the end of it, because I hadn't heard that. You say, what diseases do tick bites give us here? Well, in Brent Leo Smith's case, every disease under the sun. But for the rest of us, we just get tick bite fever, which is a form of rickettsia, and it's imminently dealable with. You go to antibiotics, doxycyclines for 2 or 3 days, and you're absolutely fine. We don't get anything nearly as nasty as Lyme disease, which I think you probably get in Texas, and I know that you get on the east coast of the States. We don't get that here. Then you say the Lone Star tick. I've never heard of a Lone Star tick, Betty, but you say if it bites you, what it does is create an allergy to red meat. Now, Betty, I've never heard that before, and that's very interesting. But I will try and find out about it. I've never heard of that happening here. And certainly in Northern Europe, of course, tick-borne diseases, including cephalitis, which can be mortally dangerous. But out here, no, tick bite fever, yeah, can make you pretty sick, but it doesn't tend to be life-threatening, and certainly we don't have major issues with it. Except if you're Brent Leo Smith, of course. A friend of ours, a mutual friend of Brent's and mine the other day, said, of course, Brent will tell you that he never gets sick, but every time he walks past a vaguely long piece of grass, he contracts tick bite fever, which, while quite amusing, is unfortunately true of the poor fellow. I think he may have gone, he's really had it from here, and that's the other thing, Betty, with tick bite fever, is that when you get it from an area, you seldom can get it again. You might get a sort of mild headache if you get bitten. But I think Brent, he went from here and he did some fishing somewhere, and he probably picked up a tick in an unfamiliar area. Now, Rebecca, I know that you're limited on signal with various other vehicles. Are we able to go and change our tyre, or shall we do a lap around quarantine? Sam. Let us go across to Sam, find out what he's doing. I think he's quite close to Bushwalk Gap.
On your left. What is it talking about?
So, I told you that there was potentially some trackers out in the drainage line here, close to... Let's get into a position where I don't have to run over this tree. That there might be some female lionesses in this area. So you saw 2 lionesses a little bit earlier. We've got another car here, so I'm just going to see if we're on the right direction. Sometimes it can be quite tough going through these areas to find the line. How beautiful was that crested barbet that we were sitting with there? It's not often you get to sit with such a beautiful bird for so long. Okay. Hold on to your seats, everybody. Here they are. See, can you just see them? Just while we... You can just see them here. So we've just found them. How exciting, guys. I'm just going to get into a position where you can be a little bit more comfortable to view them. So Dave is going to have to be... Actually, you know what? Let's go under here. Dave, just watch out for that camera. And
Nice and easy.
there we go. Right, safely does it. Safely does it. Ooh, just got up. It's that same female. It's gonna switch off. So she's just gone around there. It's the same female that we've been seeing. Look how large she is. So we just have to be careful here, because she is, if it is the pregnant female, which it looked like, then we just have to be very, very careful about the way in which we enter this site. There's 2 other vehicles here, and so we're going to drive one by one by one, so that we're not having 3 vehicles following her. It gets a little bit intense. Looks like she's leopard. So she's right. I think there could be another female here. There she goes. Beautiful. So there must be 2 of them here. And we'll see if we can follow up on this female lioness as she moves through the block. She's just gone behind one of the vehicles. So we've got one car that's moving already. Go ahead.
Do you mind staying with them so I can might come in? Because myself and Oprah are going to pull out. Just come towards where I am. Just going down towards the tunnel there so you can stay with them. Mike will come and join you.
Copy that. I'll make myself to your position.
Okay, just from
So what's happening? Both the vehicles are leaving.
Sounds like you're getting closer to me. I was waiting a little bit further east to where I last saw all return direction south. Sounds like you guys are getting closer. Are you moving more east, north? Northeast?
Should I go around? Away. Away.
yeah, sorry, Mike. Yeah, we are coming
Awesome.
slowly more to the east. Come to the far
apparently
right,
they're
and you
going
will see,
down towards
Sam,
the-
yeah. Just come and help him.
Down
moving
towards
out.
the donga here.
Right,
It might be difficult to view.
I think you'll hear me.
So we've got another vehicle that's also going to try and find me. So got a lot of business to do while we're out here in the bush. Make sure that everyone can view. Let's see if we can find those lionesses. Can you see them there?
Sam, connect to Jamie.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Sam, what's your position?
Jamie, I'm just in the block north of Bushwalk Dam. I'm trying to relocate on the two lionesses that we've just been with.
To the southeast there, towards that granite line. That's where they are.
Okay, so let's see if we can find these female lions. Didn't see which way they went, so we've got to keep our eyes open. Have a look, see if you can see them to the... Very, very thick in here. The bush is thick, so I don't want to go too quickly. Let's just say... Did you see the size of the one female? It must be the same one that we saw lying up in the drainage a couple of days ago here, so I'm very excited to see her again. She looks like she hasn't given birth yet. So they said that they could be close to the drainage line. Let's see if we can find them. I think they could be. Susan Weil would like to know, what is a drainage line exactly? Well, Susan, it is where the rains would come. If it did rain very heavily, you would have a drainage line where the water would run down to. So it's almost like a little riverine area that dries up for most of the year. Some times of the year you'll find it is active with some water in it. That's why we call it a drainage line. Okay, so our best bet is to just...
I've got your...
Yeah, so I'll just have to get hold of
vehicle, just south of me.
Copy, Mike. I'm just trying to relocate on them. I'm heading towards the dam now to see if I can see them. Apparently they've gone down towards the donga.
Copy that, yeah, it looks very thick here. I'm reluctant to try and cut through at the moment. Maybe they'll all pop out of the dam better.
Yeah, there's a good chance they'll pop out of the dam. So what I'll do is I'll just go down towards the donga and then head in a westerly direction to see if I can see them pop out. Otherwise we'll go back to the dam.
Yeah, copy that.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to try and get just around here. It's very, very thick here, so it's almost not worth going and bashing through everything. And they might just be heading down towards where we were at Bushwalk Dam. So it would save us all the effort to look for them. and where they can just be found down by the dam. So there's another station that's working with us, and he's now making his way towards that position. Hold on to your seats, everybody. So if we go over the trees with the front of the vehicle, they will just pop up on the other back. So it's important not to drive over them with the tire, but if you just go over them like that, they will pop back up on the other side, especially with these small trees. Okay, let's have a look here. Maybe they're in this donga. I might just get out the vehicle for 2 seconds just to see if I can find her. Let's look up there. I'll look down here, see what we can find. I think they don't really want to be seen. As soon as we found her, they went away. And I completely understand why. I think she looks very, very pregnant. Either very pregnant or very full. Could have got that wrong. But from looking from a distance, I saw a female that was quite large. I think you would have been able to see it better through the camera. E.B. Murphy is asking, will other lionesses come towards to where the cubs might be denning before they introduce the pride? Most of the time, no. I mean, from what I understand and read, is that a lioness will have her cubs in a drainage line or somewhere, whereabouts, and will then reintroduce that cub into the pride about 6 weeks later without them meeting. But it's, you know, of course, that's every single pride will have its own dynamic and complex interaction. See, so this is the drainage line that we were talking about. So I'm just going to get out for a couple seconds just to walk along the sides, maybe see if they've gone out. So just follow me. Okay, I'm gonna stay in my vehicle for a bit. So James is just busy fixing his car out, so I'm just gonna stay for a few seconds just to see if maybe something will walk out into the bush. James is now trying to get hold of me. Go ahead, James.
Sam, what's your position?
James, I'm just north of the block, north of Bushwalk Dam. I've just been following up the two lionesses that have now gone into the donga and head in a southeasterly direction. I'm trying to relocate on them now. Mike has gone to a position on Bushwalk Dam to see if he can relocate on them there.
Okay, copy that.
So, I think it was... There's no tracks there. It doesn't look like they walked through here. This is actually the very same drainage line that myself and David tried to find the lionesses, and we ended up injuring the camera, so we're not going to make that mistake twice. While we go tracking in this bush to see if we can find the females, let's go see how James is doing.
Well, the tyre, everybody, seems to be functioning perfectly well. It's good, it has air in it. None of that air is escaping, which of course is the main function of a tyre, really. We're going to now do a foray down the western boundary. We did the east this morning, very successful for once, and we'll now do the west and see what we can find there. We might also get a quick update from Arathusa. There we go. go, Bryan. There's a lovely Nyala bull just walking through the early morning light there. There we go. Lovely sounds of the white-browed scrub robin. There's also a sabota lark calling. It's mimicking various other birds. Oh, such a peaceful atmosphere there is out here now. Stuff. Right here. There we go. Bushwalk, I'm afraid, still has no signal. There's a giraffe, Bryan. Our cup runneth over this morning. I'm sure the little one is going to be here too. Just move into a nice position here. There it is. There's a little thing on the floor there. There's a little one having a snooze around Mum and probably Auntie. That's so sweet. So I think that thing is probably about 2 months to 2.5 months old. And I don't know which one it's born to, which of these two females has been hanging around that it was born to. I'm not sure that you can tell if there's any sort of familial resemblance, but possibly. I suppose it should be possible to tell which one of them is lactating. Although they won't suckle for very long before they're onto their solids. Unlike the human being, they don't have to go through the endless process of liquefied fruit and vegetables. They go straight onto the real stuff. Yeah, you can actually see. It's quite interesting. The little one is chewing. The only reason for the little one to be chewing is if she's starting to chew his or her cud. That's so sweet. So clearly not still only on milk. Chewing with the mouth open. And you hear the chagras there calling everyone? That is the black-crowned chagra, a shrike. That's a yellow-billed oxpecker, Bryan.
Where?
On the little baby there. There on top of, was on top of the head. That's an unusual oxpecker, everyone. 2 yellow bills now. It's so interesting how they become more and more common the further north you go, and we're basically in the transition zone between the red and the yellow-billed oxpecker. And although that oxpecker has got a red front to the bill, it's the hind part of the bill that is yellow, and therefore a yellow-billed oxpecker. And I think maybe a little baby with them as well, a juvenile oxpecker knocking about on a juvenile giraffe, and they're starting to irritate him or her. A fascinating life that little thing is going to lead, assuming that it makes it. Rebecca? Sorry, Rebecca, I thought it was you trying to get hold of Sam, but it is Jamie. This is wonderful stuff. chewing the cud. Peaceful all around. Let's just have a quick listen to what's going on here. So I can hear a southern black tit going bzz, 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 bzz. We can hear that the chagra's going and also doing that. Doves, ubiquitous, oxpeckers, and very soon, mixed in with the black-headed oriole that's going, mixed in with them, will be the call of breakfast, and that, of course, is the chin spot batis. All right, Bryan, let us continue from here and see if we can find leopards. Do you want to see leopards, Bryan?
I'd love to see a leopard, James.
What, just one?
Just 3.
Oh, just 3. Excellent. Hello, TB Murphy. You want to know if any of the leopards in the area are collared for research? EB, Echo Bravo Murphy. You want to know if any of the leopards in this area are collared. They are not collared, none of them. That's not to say they wouldn't be, but thankfully they aren't. And I say thankfully mainly because, I mean, yes, it is, you can do valuable research on leopards by collaring them. I think we get plenty of research done on them just by the fact that we view them so often here. And I think putting a collar on them, putting them through the stress of it, and then the aesthetics of having a collared leopard around the place would be unnecessary over here. Different area where you don't have so many tourism lodges, and so you don't really know what's going on with the leopard population. Absolutely a very crucial part of leopard research. But over here, because there are tourism operations everywhere, people driving these roads in a random fashion every single day, there's no real need to collar any of the animals. Except maybe elephants, if you want to know how far they're moving. They do move massive distances. 1 second. Here be tracks of a very large male leopard. I'm just going to quickly ask Rebecca to tell me where Sam had those male leopard tracks, because this looks to me like Tingana from last night, and I suspect he would have gone some distance. And I know Sam was following a male leopard quite a long way from here. No, apparently she doesn't know. Hang on. Sam, do you copy, Sam?
Go ahead.
Sam, where did you leave those male leopard tracks earlier this morning?
James, I left the male leopard tracks as we were heading down Bushwalk cut line to Gowrie cut line, probably about 100 meters down that road. The tracks then head off into Bushwalk.
Yeah. Okay, copy, thanks. I'm going to assume then that these tracks are the end of those ones that he was following, so we're not going to follow them up. I think he's probably headed off into Bushwalk. He's got a huge territory, Tingana. X-Ranger, you want to know what the collar on a leopard would actually do. What would it tell you? Yeah, it's largely just a GPS tracking device, fairly robust, fairly inelegant. I suppose you could probably do it subcutaneously these days, but certainly, with regard to changing batteries and robustness, a collar on an animal is the easiest way of doing it, certainly as far as elephants go. But it is a little unsightly. It is unquestionable that it would take the animal some time to get used to it. But they don't seem to show any ill effects. But yeah, it's largely just to hand off GPS data as to where the animal is. These days, of course, you can do it by GPS. Before, you had to use telemetry. So you had to have it would send out a signal. And you'd have to go out with the aerial and try and pick up the signal, and then that's how you'd find the animal. And in those days, I mean, to a large extent, if you're using telemetry, you may as well just employ a decent tracker who'll be able to follow the tracks and find the animal, probably, in some cases, a lot faster than you'd be able to do it with telemetry. Now, interestingly, there was all that talk some time back about whether or not they were going to reintroduce Sindile to this area. And Sindile, for those of you who don't know, was a one-year-old leopard who was the son of Shadow, who unfortunately caught a rabid dog and was therefore quarantined in rehab. He had to go into rehab, poor fellow. Nobody likes to see their children go into rehab, do they, Bryan? No. Anyway, and if there was talk of him being introduced to this area. I'm not sure if that talk is actually ceased or whether they're still going to do it. I don't know. I've tried to keep away from that because there was some very heated debate around it. Anyway, but if they do ever reintroduce a leopard like that to an area, they would almost certainly collar him, so that if they had to find him quickly, they could do that. No tracks on the western front so far. Here's Shadow. Siberia zumi, you want to know if we get an umbrella thorn tree. We don't get an umbrella thorn here, Siberia. An umbrella thorn occurs in much wetter areas. Now here's actually a really interesting bit. I will also find that Ziziphus, but I'm going to show you here, Bryan. I think you should be able to get a picture from where this is. This is Shadow's track, I think, everybody. Female leopard. Unfortunately, not with any youngsters. So I'm beginning to question their current survival. You'll tell me if you lose sound. Here's the leopard track.
Oh, losing sound, so speak up.
Here's the leopard track. Can you see this one?
Yeah.
There. Now, people often say, how do you know how fresh a leopard track is, or how fresh any track is? That's why I'm looking around here. If you look along the road, with the leopard has come a dove. You see these little tracks here?
So speak up.
You can see these tracks here of the dove. And here's the next leopard track. On top of the leopard track is a dove track. So very clearly, the dove has come after the leopard. That tells me the leopard came here quite probably during the very early morning before the light came, because that's when the doves will start to land on the roads. But these are quite nice tracks. We'll just pop along here and see if we don't pick her up, perhaps in a tree with an impala to eat. Impala bacon. Not this month. Come on, Wendy. Let's go and find a leopard. She's still on the road. She's been patrolling this area quite regularly of late, as our Shadow. Keep an eye out on the termite mounds. She likes to lie on the termite mounds. I don't see her tracks anymore. Oh, they're still here. The first time I ever saw Shadow, I followed her tracks on the road. I was on foot. It was about my first week here, I think. And I was off one afternoon. And so I came walking along the road. And just around the corner there, the tracks disappeared. And I got that feeling that I was being watched. And I looked to the side, and about 20 meters away on the top of a termite mound, the leopard had flattened herself against the profile of the termite mound as if to hide. And there she was looking at me. So I pretended not to see her, carried on walking, and I called Scott in, and he came to have a look at her. Blind luck. There was not much skill involved in that tracking. She's still on the road here. and I'm currently approaching Impala Road, Impala Plains. In case you're wondering why I decided to inform you of that, it's because Rebecca asked me. I don't see the tracks anymore here. Let's just have a look-see. No, she's headed off the road somewhere here. You know, I don't think they are that fresh. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly have a quick reverse back and have a look. If we don't see where they've gone, then we'll turn about. No, we won't turn about. We'll just keep going straight. Just keep an eye out in the trees and on the termite mounds. That's termite mound there, Bryan. Is there no leopard on top of it? No. Nasty, nasty cat. Okay, let's carry on. She may have just stepped off the road to mark her territory or something. It would be very nice to see her, I must say. Given the luck we've had today, I don't suppose we should expect it too much. And apparently, many of you are talking about the black adder. Now, the male leopard came all the way along here. Starring the great Rowan Atkinson. Yeah, I don't see the female's tracks here anymore, so I think she's probably moved on. Anyway, we'll go around the corner here. I'm going to get an update from Arathusa now, find out if anything's going on there that's worth us going to see. The leopards of this area do tend to quite favor that tree. I've seen both Shadow and Karula in that tree sitting on the termite mound there. So while I contact Arathusa, let's find out if there's a leopard in that tree. Is any oh, no, wrong radio. 75 radios on the vehicle. It's very difficult to know what's going on. Any station, Arathusa, do you copy? Ah, there we go. Morning. May I have an update on Safari for the morning?
James, there's nothing much on our property this morning, nothing much.
Copy, thank you. Nothing going on in Arathusa. That's just depressing. Anyway.
James, what's happening in the north?
We had Nkuhumas Pride around Bushwalk Dam, and that's about it so far.
Oh, okay, copy. No signs of bad or things.
No, negative. Tracks of female leopard heading down Impala Plains towards Triple M Break. I'm following up now.
Very good news. Thank you very much, Dave.
So that's Sean. He's from Arathusa. Copy that. What we're going to do, I think, rather than head on to a new reserve entirely, is let's head down the boundary here and see if she doesn't come across. Who knows? Hello, John. You're a new viewer, and it's wonderful to have you with us. I think you're on YouTube. John, you want to know how long we drive for each day? We do 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening, so right about the sort of crepuscular time that the animals will be most active. Well, that's the general idea. We don't drive around at night because we don't have sufficient equipment to do that. I mean, we could easily spotlight everything at night time, but we've decided that that's not what we're going to do, so we don't do too much at night. And then in the middle of the day, well, you could drive around the middle of the day in winter, but in summer it's too beastly hot to be out after sort of 8 o'clock in the morning. Right, we're now pulling on to what is known as the Triple M Break, main access road into the Sabi Sands, this wilderness wonder where thousands and thousands of people come every year to see the iconic wildlife of the Kruger National Park. To our western side or right is Aratuza. That's where Sean was speaking to us from. And to our right, of course, Juba, the little gem that we call home. And I'm going to keep... Oh, this is very interesting. Yeah. This is where Tungana came out of Arathusa. You walk straight across here and in that way. Now, why it is I'm able to spot their tracks when they're going backwards, I don't know, but when they're going forwards, I find it so much more difficult. So he walked from here all the way down onto what we call Zoe's Road and then up across past the camp onto Buffalo's cut line, which is, I mean, that's probably a distance of about, I don't know, 5 or 6 kilometers, so about 3 miles or so, 3.5, 4 miles. It's not too far for a leopard, but I mean, it's quite a lot. All right, let's go across to Sam, get an update on his lion tracking. I'll keep you posted on the leopard tracks in this area.
So last time we saw each other, we were deep in the thicket following those lionesses. There were some concerns around whether it was, the right thing to be going into the bush where that female could be pregnant. It was totally fine. There was other females with her, so it wasn't just her on her own. It was completely fine to be going through the bush, and she may not be pregnant, so it's just something that we've seen. So we can't confirm on that. And if she was pregnant and she didn't want us to be there, trust me, she would have let us know that straight away. From the first moment she saw a vehicle or a person, she would have revved them and said, listen, this is not lucky for you to be here. So we get that communication straight away. So just to let you guys all know that it was all okay to be going through there. We're now just driving the drainage line, the Donga area that where we think we lost them. So we lost them in the Donga by, on the northern side of the dam, and it looks like they've gone and found a nice thicket to relax in for the morning, because it is going to be a very, very hot day. I'll tell you, it was a very, very cold day a couple seconds ago. Well, not seconds, hours ago. I was freezing, and now it's already hot, and I'm getting very, very hot. So it's going to be a hot day, so those lionesses are most likely going to be relaxing in that area. This is exactly where we saw that barbet, a beautiful, beautiful barbet, and that tawny eagle. So our plan now is just to go down towards Nyala Road and see what we might be able to find there. Potentially we can find some tracks of the lionesses, because there was also some other lionesses that were here. So there was 2 here, and there were 2 there. So the Nkuhumas are loving our property at the moment. See, have a look at this drainage to the right of us. Just to give you an idea of how thick it can get inside there. We've just got a few roads that we are able to traverse around. But during the heat of the day, most animals like to find the coldest, most relaxing, sandy areas where they can be. And so that's kind of where they'll be going towards, especially those 2 lionesses that we just saw. Well, at least we got some really cool visual of them. It's really nice to see those 2 lionesses. See what else we might be able to find. Oh, and of course you saw the rest of the pride with James this morning. So it's been a real morning of lionesses today already. Maybe we can spot something else a little smaller. Potentially we can talk around other subjects. I'd love to bring in, while we've still got a few minutes left of the show, a little bit of biomimicry, and maybe talk about the natural design of things, from trees to flowers to Fibonacci sequences and geometry, sacred geometry, for anyone that might be interested. I know that I got a nice tweet from someone asking me what that was. Super interesting to learn about, platonic solids. I don't know if any of you guys know what platonic solids are, but that's There are 5 of them, 5 platonic solids. Have a look them up, and you can see they're the main like kind of designs in the natural world, shapes, if you will, that make up some of the strongest structures in our natural world, such as the honey, the bee. The bee constructs a design which is like a 6 hexagon. It's a hexagon, and that is one of the strongest shapes in the natural world where they are able to build on. So we're going to see this morning, what sort of designs and shapes, and particularly any other things that we might be able to look at whilst being on this drive. After seeing the predators, I'll look at some of the intelligence of the natural world. And here's something that we can talk about. Ooh, that's a bit far for me to reach. I've got my clutch in. So we've often spoken about the way in which design is, and I just want to bring this through to you here. Like, ecological design is what I did my master's in last year, and it's super interesting to learn about the way in which things are. I've spoken and mentioned a few times about Murray's law, by the way in which water decentralizes itself. So even if you look closely, and if Dave can get even a close-up of those lines inside the leaf, have a look at them. And that is what is bringing all the nutrients of the water and everything from the soil that's getting pulled up by the roots and through the trunk of the tree, and then coming through here and into the leaf that brings all the nutrients that it might need. And it's such an effective way of water distribution that even city planners are looking to the design of leaves and the structure of leaves to kind of apply them to the design of cities, so that cities may distribute water in a similar fashion. Because if you look at it like this, when I do it like that, and you go close in here, if you can imagine what a river delta looks like, if you think of what a delta is where it's almost like where just water flows and stops. It's more static, and you can see how it comes off here and then it bends off in 2 different directions. And if you look at all the little ones that are just after that, they're also bending off in different directions. So there's a certain flow of least resistance that you can see within the structure of a leaf. So these are just little things that I just find so fascinating about the natural world. I mean, even if you think, we've spoken about how this could be a solar panel. This is a natural photovoltaic solar panel that is made out of organic matter that is able to collect all different perspectives of sunlight and is able to move with the wind. So on my page on Facebook, I'll keep on pushing that side of things, just because that is my interest in learning about the designs of natural systems and how they can influence the human systems. Because if we're looking for a positive kind of story, a positive story is in that intelligence that is all around us, from the trees to the birds to the flowers. And if you can, do yourself the favor and just look at like certain shells, the way in which shells look and the way in which flowers are designed, because they're all designed through a certain type of pattern, where you can almost see a spiral shape. If you go look at a perlman shell, you'll notice a very, very spiral shape. And interestingly, if you looked at the Milky Way galaxy, you can see that spiral shape again. So you can see it in a wave. When you go surfing and you see a wave, you see that spiral shape. And that spiral is, when you start looking for it, is almost everywhere. There's a hidden genius that you can open yourself up to. And when we were looking at that leaf, have a look at this tree in front of us now. Remember we were talking about how it kind of breaks off and distributes in different structures? That's the same sort of structure in a tree that we saw in the tiny little looks of the leaf. So that can even be seen in a river delta, that whole design. It can be seen in your blood vessels in your body, that design of distribution. Right, so with that, we're going to carry on looking around here to see what other maybe interesting designs we might be able to find for the morning. And if we don't find a design, we might just find the most incredible looking animal or bird. So it's all part of the journey. While we do that, let's go see how James is doing.
We did a patrol of the western boundary, and we didn't... Bryan, the aerial is at a very jaunty angle. Hang on 1 second, everybody. The aerial, I just turned around to look you in the eye there, and the aerial was... Well, basically it was trying to escape, yes. There we go.
Lost a bolt, but it's all right.
We've lost a nut. We'll just have to drive carefully. There's still 2 nuts on the vehicle, missing 1. We're heading towards Treehouse Dam. The last time I saw an animal at Treehouse Dam was just prior to the last ice age. I'm hoping today will change my luck. Anyway, maybe shadows come down this way. I don't know where she's gone, but she's around here somewhere. Right here, around the corner we go. As far as I'm aware, everyone, we don't have any email, any internet at all at the moment in the final control. So if you are trying to ask us a question, you're probably wasting your breath. Rebecca, that's your cue to tell me whether that is in fact true or not. There we go, well done. Okay, it is true. There is no way for you to ask a question. So if I run out of things to say, I'm just going to make one up. Ah, lovely to hear from you, John in Missouri. John, you would like to know about termite mounds and how they can form. Well, John, here is a termite mound. They form when many termites build a pile of their own dung, dust and saliva. Thank you, John in Missouri. That's always Bryan's example, John in Missouri. You can also try and tweet. Apparently it's on and off. I wouldn't bother. We don't have much time left in this drive. So I'll just try and find you something interesting and tell you about it. Tell you what I think's interesting about it anyway. First thing we'll do is check out the waterhole of Lake Treehouse, the vast, expansive, crystalline water that is Lake Treehouse. You ready, Bryan?
I'm very excited.
Angie in Wisconsin. This is a genuine question. It is really a question from Angie in Wisconsin. Angie, you're worried about Squeezy. I will tell the rest of you about Squeezy now. Squeezy, everybody, is a suspected... Oh my goodness. This is where Samuel found his drag mark yesterday morning. Just look across the road there, everybody, on the middle of the road. Can you see it, Bryan? Sam followed this drag mark a long way yesterday, all the way across to Philemon's cut line, which is about, it's probably almost sort of, I don't know, half a mile. He followed it, and eventually, in the midday, they found an impala that had been eaten. But not completely, and I think it's very odd. I suspect, Steph reckons it was probably killed by the rut. Maybe it was killed by another ram and then sort of dragged off by a hyena. I think those 4... It's an impala, Bryan. I just saw movement in the bushes and I thought to myself, leopard. That's totally ridiculous. It doesn't look anything like a leopard. We will try and make sure that it is an impala. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It is a male impala. Quite possibly the murderer of the one that died here yesterday. I think the impala yesterday died as a result of the wild dogs coming in, and I think the hyenas stole the impala from the dogs just before we saw them at the Djuma Dam pan yesterday morning. Anyway, Squeezy, everyone, is a suspected cousin of Pinchy Whiner, the freshwater crab. And until very recently, we thought the only example of the freshwater crab was Pinchy Whiner, that's his name, so named by Scott Dyson. And he lives on Zoe's Road, not too far from here. And then I was driving past a mud wallow the other day, and there, blow me down if I didn't spot a hole in the side of the pan that very much resembled Pinchy's little hole. And I think that we've got a new crab there, and so I dubbed him Squeezy Dyson. Nothing going on at Lake Treehouse. Let us continue on our way. And Angie, I don't know. I've been back to look a few times, haven't seen anything further of him. There is a kudu. Kudu cow, accompanied by another kudu cow just to the right-hand side. Let me move up forward a little bit. Now these chaps, of course, will be far better off for much of the dry season than the grazers, because the leaves on the trees last a lot longer than the leaves on the grasses. She's lovely, isn't she? Certainly, I think, our most elegant antelope. And striped like that, most likely to break up her outline. They move through this sort of thickish woodland. And it's starting to get that very peaceful kind of mid-morning feeling now. Just waiting for the call of the chin spot batis. See if you can hear it, Bryan. No, I can hear impala belching at each other. It's the most unbelievable sound. And then off to the left, Bryan, I don't know if you can see, there's a painted lady butterfly. Can you see it there? It's about pretty much 9 o'clock from me. And she's just, it could easily be a he, is warming in the sun. If you zoom in there, I think you'll actually get him. Yeah, just left a little bit. And up a bit. And should be there. That's him. You got him there. Yeah. Another profile of the painted lady is hidden there. There you can see. Just warming up now. We know that butterflies, of course, cannot fly when it's cold. They, like most insects, all insects, are completely ectothermic, which means that, like reptiles and fish and amphibians, they rely on the outside temperature to sort of develop body heat. And in that butterfly's wings, completely unlike the wings of a bat or a bird, there's no sort of bone or hardness, but there are veins, and those veins are pumped full of something called hemolymph, and hemolymph is basically the blood of an insect, and it's the wings are kept taut or kept stiff by hydraulic pressure within that hemolymph, and so it's got to wait till it's heated up a bit before it can actually start to flap those wings and make some progress as it goes around feeding some of the last butterflies of the summer season. Oh, and just an update on Jamie. She and Steph have had trouble, not with animals or anything else like that, nothing exciting. They've just run out of signal. So she and VM and Steph have gone back home for an early breakfast, and Eugene will not be having breakfast today. He will be fixing, with any luck, the Bushwalk backpack. This is a young bull. There he is. Isn't he great? Gee, that's a lovely picture of him. Terry, I will answer your question. It's an interesting one. Oh, yes. I missed it though, Rebecca. That would have been a good picula. Oh, very nice of him to show us that. It is amazing how many animals I see relieve themselves immediately on sighting me.
The usual story.
It is the usual story. Thank you. You ill-mannered foul kudu. I hope you trip over a log. Right, Terry. What's the Ziziphus there? Ooh, quickly, you know what, Terry, before I answer your question, I need to quickly tell a story here, because I almost forgot to tell it. Richard Levi, you wanted to know about the Ziziphus. May I befall on you to turn the ambient sound up, Bryan? Thank you so much. Now, okay, here we go. So what happens in areas, rural areas from here, all the way up, in fact, down to the Eastern Cape here, so that's the southern extremity of where this happens, all the way up apparently into Ethiopia, you have this tree called Ziziphus mucronata, and I mean, legend has it that it was the tree from which the crown of thorns over which Christ's, or that was put on Christ's head, was made of this very tree, Ziziphus mucronata, or the buffalo thorn. So, even in Christian culture, it has some sort of significance. But out here, what happens is, people are very attached to burying their kith and kin at home. So if somebody dies away from home, you'll go and fetch the body, you'll return it probably to the homestead where they were born, or certainly the marital homestead, and there they will be buried. The concept of cremation is absolutely anathema. The thought of burning a body and then scattering the ashes to the local people out here is completely taboo. So it doesn't happen. But if you bring the body of someone home, often it doesn't mean that you brought their spirit. So what normally happens is a cousin or a sibling will be dispatched to fetch the body and the spirit. But in order to fetch the spirit, you have to take a piece of this tree. So you either take a piece of the tree from home, or you pick it in the place where the body has died. And what you do, if you can see the horns, not the horns, the thorns, one straight and one hooked. What you do is you go to the place where the person died, where your relative died, and you sweep up the spirit. You sort of perform some kind of spirit sweeping ceremony, of which I'm not familiar, but that's what you do. And then the spirit is captured in the branch of the buffalo thorn. And then you come and you buy, and it comes time to you to buy your train ticket or your ticket in the taxi, and you purchase 2 tickets. And you put this onto the seat next to you. I'm going to put it over there where we can sort of see it. Well, I'll put it on the dashboard, sorry, Bryan. And you make sure nobody sits in the seat, on the taxi or on the train. You make sure that you provide it with company, you provide it with conversation, probably not food. And people would be completely fine with you doing this because they would know exactly what you were doing. They might ask you about who it was that you were transporting, even though it was just a thorny bush. And so you drive all the way back home on the train, on the plane, probably not so much on a plane, or on a taxi. And then when you got home, you'd stop and everyone would come and greet you, and you'd be carrying your ancestor with you. Well, not your ancestor, your cousin or your sibling. It's normally a cousin who's not quite as emotionally attached as a sibling or a parent would be. And then after the funeral, once the body has been buried, this, which contains the spirit of your dead relative, would be placed on the grave. And in so doing, the circle of bringing your relative home to rest completely and peacefully would be complete. And that, Richard, is the story of Ziziphus mucronata, or the buffalo thorn. Now I've lost my earpiece entirely. I'll put it in a pocket. There we go. Okay. There we are. And there was a question I was going to ask about air conditioning, answer about air conditioning. A question about whether or not we have air conditioning in our rooms. Bryan, you've got an air conditioner, don't you? But most of us don't. And it does amaze me. Certainly it would be more comfortable with an air conditioner, but people originally built in this area, they originally built in this area with much more insulated materials than we do now. And so they survived the summer absolutely fine. Yeah, we don't have air conditioning, and for many years we've survived without it, and it's not actually that necessary. And it is amazing to me that throughout the world, people desperately require air conditioning when our ancestors survived without it perfectly well by building cleverly with insulation, and we're going back to that now with clever insulation. All right, everybody, that's going to be pretty much it from us today. We'll see you out again at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Now, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Sorry, I keep forgetting the time. Thank you, Bryan, for your efforts. Goodbye to Sam. He's not going to join us until this afternoon. And from Jamie as well, VM and David. And thank you to all of you for joining us. We hope that all of our problems will be sorted out by this afternoon. Until then, bye-bye.